And welcome to Go Public, guys. This is so exciting to have you guys here. Yeah, it's been a while. I'm sure Francesca's hinted. The last couple of years have been different. So it's awesome to kickstart this year with us all together. I think we are all creative, so we feed off each other's energies. So it's very hard to be at a distance. I'm sure for you and even for us. So it's awesome to have you guys. What I wanted to do today as a kickstart, I'm sure Francesca's probably taken you or given you a view of what your year looks like. And part of that is almost how we are going to take you through in terms of our partnership is like the workflow, like the way the work actually flows within the agency. And so today is quite an opportune time because we don't get business until we've pitched. So how I frame this and the presentation I'm going to take you guys through today is a typical kind of pitch presentation that we would do for a client who's looking for an agency. And for those of you that don't know, the way that typically happens, it could be a tender. The moment I'm here at tenders, I'm dealing with a whole lot of SABC tenders where they will put out a tender to say they need X services, this type of agency, they give you all the details. Very similar with the clients, let's say SAB, they will also put out a pitch and they'll say, you'll apply to say if you want to be part of that pitch. And you'll be up against anything up to 5 different agencies. So typically, when we're presenting, we're up against the Ogilvies, the
DNA,
the Hunt Mascaras. I mean, all these agencies. If you don't know, you'll get to know about. And so it can be a very nerve-wracking situation. So it's actually good practice for me because it's never so as many people. So that's how I'm going to introduce ourselves, the way I will do it with you. I hope you also take, along the way I'm going to give you little pieces of information if I can, because obviously I'm here. I know that you guys, this part of the process is to expose you to our industry. So I will do that as I go along. And obviously, yes, I'm quite happy to take questions as well. Let's make this, I always say that to the clients, let's make it engaging. Don't think there's no silly, especially in this environment, no silly question. And you'll find out about us as Joe Public, we really don't believe in that. So, let's chat, ask me questions. And actually at a typical pitch presentation, we also encourage our clients to do that because it's not about just what you can do, it's also about who you are. And we talk about chemistry. You don't want to work with people that you don't really like, Yes, the job, and because it actually influences how the final job comes out. The more excited, the more we get along and we can chat and start to really have real connections, the better the work, the better the process, because the better the process actually makes the work better. So you see how I'm dropping little anecdotes about how we show up and how we operate. You'll be doing a pitch later on as well. So I think as well, just consider that. We don't do it as much as we used to, but when I started a long time ago, we would even decorate the boardroom. If we were pitching pitching for Vodacom Business, they were blue then. We'd decorate the boardroom with blue, there would be blue sweets, and the juices would be blue. We'd all dress up in blue, because we want to show them that we've immersed ourselves in this business, and we want your business. So these are all the things that make it fun. It's actually a show. It actually can be quite a show when we do it, especially what I'm doing today is just credentials, which is basically who we are, who are the people, what do we believe in, so a few stats, what have we done, what have we achieved, and then show some work. But there are sometimes particularly the second phase, where we actually have to come and do a show and show the work. They give us a brief and we have to actually present work. So, and that's where the real magic and fun happens. So part of today, part of this year is going to be all of those learnings and us as Joe Public exposing you guys to as much as possible. So firstly, let's meet the team. I want to introduce you to our two co-founding members, Gareth Legg, who's actually my direct boss. He is our Group Chief Executive Officer and CEO. And they, with Pepe, who I introduced just now, co-founded Joe Public in 1998. So we actually turned 24 in March. We still argue whether she's a girl or a boy, but she's now 24 years old. She can drink, she can smoke, she can party, and she's learned a lot of lessons along the way. But Gareth and him met many years ago. In fact, I'm so lucky to be inspired by them. They started this company when they were not even 30 years old. But he has, and part of, as we grow up in the industry and to build names for us in the industry, is to be involved in industry boards. So things like, even this, what I'm doing, is very important for you guys and delivering on our purpose, but it actually also builds my profile. So you can't just be living in your own little bubble. It helps everybody, the more each of us get exposed. So he has, he's a Lurie's Awards board member, he has been on and off. He is also an exco member of the ACA, which is our Advertising Association. It's an association that protects the industry and helps regulate the industry. So he's very involved and quite well known in the industry. Pepe, his partner, co-founding partner, he too has done lots, and he's like the overachiever, written books, so if you ever want to really deep dive, and particularly as you start to see about who we are, go get his book, because it talks about growing greatness, which is around our values. But he's our chief factory manager. We always talk about what do we do, what do people come here for. Sadly, they don't come for client service, which I'm amazing at, but they actually come here for the product. So he's our chief factory officer, and at the moment he's actually ranked the #1 chief creative officer, or creative leader, and creative officer. The Lurie's ranking, I forgot to update mine. Yeah, he is renowned, and some of you might have even seen, he hasn't been down here while I was here. Then there's me, Kuthala Gala Holton. I'm married into Holton, but I felt like I built a brand around Gala, so I have not let it go. So I'm double-barreled. I am actually a co-managing director now, with Mpumi, who I'll introduce just now. I joined Joe Public in 2006. I'm a born and bred Ketonian, proudly so. Xhosa, Masegaba. So I also came to Joburg, the city of gold, to find fame and all of those good things. But let me take a break a little bit and tell you a little bit about my story. So I matriculated, and I had the opportunity to go to the UK to do a working holiday. Where you get, they call it a gap year. It's supposed to be 1 year, I did 2. So I was really enjoying myself. But when I came back, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. But I've always enjoyed creativity, the idea of creativity. When I was younger, it was more around, music. I was obsessed with music videos. Back in those days, we used to record them on VHS machines, and I was obsessed with that, and I enjoyed the entertainment side of life. And so I actually started in an ad agency at reception. I had to get a job. Like my mom was like, you need to start to fend on your own. So I got a job at an ad agency at reception. I didn't really know everything about it beyond ATV. But the minute I got in there, I'm sorry that we are in this hybrid COVID world, because the energy that you feel in an awesome agency, it's so electric, and I just knew that this is the kind of space that I wanted to be in, the kind of people, I felt like I fit in, because everybody's so different. Everybody can fit into advertising. And I was like, this is what I wanted. I was like, this is what I want to do. But I took my job very seriously at reception. I mean, I still think that I'm the best receptionist they ever had because I'm like that person, you know, like if you give me something to do, I put my heart and soul into it. And I showed interest, you know, when the packages arrive at reception. I wasn't like, oh, your package is here. I was like, I'm bringing your package, getting to know people. That's how I got, as I say, behind the, you know, reception. You know, getting to know people and say, oh, so this is for you. Do you want me to open it? Oh, okay, I'll open it. Oh, wow. You know, because I was showing interest and all of that, that's when people were like, you know what, don't you want to come and just see what we do behind the scenes as a junior account executive? So 3 months in to that agency, that's how I got my opportunity and my foot in the door. And I have had I've been fortunate enough that people saw, you know, my potential, and they grew me, and I had the appetite for growth. I realized, I knew that I just got this feeling that this is an opportunity that many people don't get, where you get mentorship, and people are willing to actually teach you. So I always thought I learned on the job. And that's where my career started. Actually, it was more of a below the line agency. So we used to work with the Stell, with the Hansons, the Savannahs, and all of that. So I started working in the alcohol industry. I know I'm not an alcoholic yet, but that's where my career really started in understanding insights, people. And I love people. I love figuring out how people's brains work. I'm very operational, so I like things to be in place. And that's when I realized as well that that's what I want to do. That's where I can thrive. That, in other words, I knew I'm not a creative, a copywriter, an art director. I was going to be on the business side. So I started there. While I was in Cape Town, I worked for an older agency called the Old Shanghai Firecracker Factory. We were bought over by FCB at the time. So I started working for FCB, and that's where I really got exposed to a proper agency and how it runs. And I mean, there's always merit if you ever get an opportunity to work for a small agency. There's nothing wrong. You don't have, especially when you're starting, you don't have to rush to work for the big names. You must always realize nothing is a mistake, right? And especially if you decide, I am mistaken. Because it's about what you make of it. You learn something literally every day. So the thing about working with a small agency as well, it gives you the opportunity. See, here we have a lot of people. We have reception, we have drivers, we've got all, you know, and then all the different roles that people play. Finance, there's a whole office of finance there in the corner. Where I started, it was actually quite small. So that gave me the opportunity to learn even more. Like, I mean, understanding more of production because there was only one production manager. Here we've got 3. Finance, I started to learn more because there was only one finance person. So I just want to be very clear. It's awesome to get here where we are at Joe Public, but it is also, there's huge merit in starting small and in an environment, especially the smaller the environment, basically the more you get exposed to and learn. So I did that. I moved from below the line and then expanded into above the line. I started working on even more bigger brands, the Kliptriks, the Borders, Jones, Drosdale, Hog, wine, like lots of alcohol. Some doesn't exist anymore. And then I was headhunted to come to Johannesburg by an agency called Low Bull. And they were really a great agency, especially in that time. They have the Unilever account, so I was recruited to come work on that. Where did I see you? And I got the opportunity to work. I mean, Unilever, they talk about it being like one of the schools of marketing. You know, so it was an absolute honor for me to be exposed to that. So, and then actually I got to work on the brands they really call the school of products, which is like the Omos, the Skips. I know they sound boring, laundry, but you learn so much, understanding all sorts of advertising, not just all these amazing fun ads, but you know, when you do working at FMCG, you know, it is quite the FMCG fast service, what's it, fast consumer viewing goods. So that's the stuff you get at Pick n Pay, right? I worked on Axe, they call the deodorant category. I worked on Axe, on Shield. Axe is still one of the biggest brands that got awarded, especially in its time. So I really got it, like, I was like, I've arrived. And it was really like an arrival moment. And I used to work in between Johannesburg and Durban. And then I was recruited to join Joe Public in 2006. So I actually only stayed a year and a bit at Local, and I joined Joe Public. And that's really my journey. I was probably I was an account director then. And Joe Public was very, very small then. I think we were like 30, 40 people. So I went back to like quite a small agency. And it's been an absolute pleasure to be able to grow with the gents. And that's why I think I'm one of the lucky ones that have got this close relationship. I know, even though they're my bosses still in a way, at a time, it's been such a privilege and an honor to watch the growth, learn the lessons. The more you get to know about Joe Public, this is not luck. We have worked damn hard, especially us as a core team. And with that, therefore, we've gone through all the trials and tribulations, both, as a business and each of us on a personal level. And so, I joined Joe Public in 2006. I actually left. I don't always tell the story. I left for a minute because, I needed to. So after 4.5 years, I went back to FCD with Joburg. But, I believe that everything happens for a reason. I always talk about leaving. It was like a divorce. Boys were like not happy and saying, because Maro's gonna love you, and I love you. It was all of that. But we can all attest that it was actually for all of our positive growth, because I was recruited to come and work and run the Old Mutual business as a business unit director. And then also, because Joe was still small, I also got the opportunity to see how these other big agencies operate. Because remember, Gareth and Pepe never worked in these big agencies. They started as young 27-year-olds. So after 3 years, when they won the Nedbank business, they called me to come back. It's time to come back. But I came back with all those skills. Because for a small Joe Public to win Nedbank, we were the talk of the town. How the hell did they win it? Like, in fact, what do they call us? What's it? Can't think of the word, but it was like we came from nowhere to win this. And so, they knew that shit, like, okay. Like, in fact, I know when they came back, literally, it's one of those, when you get that point, like, thank you so much, you put the phone in, like, it was that moment. Like, also, like, how are we going to do this? Like, so they literally called me, I'll never forget, on the 2nd of January, said, you've got to come back. And I was like, it's the perfect time. They never worked on financial services. I've been running a financial services business for 3.5 years, so I could bring that. I could bring the operational skills that they didn't have, because, like, as I said, we had one finance person, they had a whole floor like us now. And I've grown. Since then, as I said, I was the BUD, I was executive BUD. I was promoted to deputy MD, and I became the MD in 2018. And as part of our own growth, because at Joe Public, we always talk about, and I always say this in the pitch, by the way, is that we are not the executive team that you see at the pitch and a Christmas party. We really pride ourselves in being involved in the business. I've got a executive who just called me now, coming into this meeting. She's gonna call me and I'm gonna know what she's talking about. So we've become so quite big over years that we've had to almost divide and conquer the amount of business. So who I'm going to introduce just now is my co-managing director. Enough about me. Laurent Marty is our Group Chief Strategy Officer. He's also been joined Joe Public a year before me. This is definitely the smartest person I've ever met in my life. And he's also just amazing. One of the things that he really helps bring, besides his amazing strategic brain, is that he worked for a client. In fact, so he's French. In fact, his dad's French, his mom's South African. So he always wanted to come to South Africa. And when he got the opportunity with Renault, he actually launched Renault in South Africa. And so he helps brings to the strategy and creative part of this client service. We expose to the client's business a lot, but he helps to bring business understanding when you are the client. Because if you understand your client, then you understand how to sell to them, you empathize with their challenges, because we just a creative agency. So that's an awesome thing, and he runs quite a massive strategic department, and we take strategy very seriously here at Joe Public. Olise Deshan is probably the most famous out of us all.
So him just
Yeah, in fact, yeah. So yes, that's
what you said about him.
I actually brought Olisa on board, by the way, as in we were mates. We went to ACB together in Cape Town. So when I joined Joe Public, I told Pepe there's this guy that I know, and long story short, he was recruited to come and join Joe Public, and we've been together ever since. And he's also got like many accolades. Has played a very critical role, especially around transformation in our industry, because people like him, and people like you and I, know that we can also be somewhere and something in this industry. So it's very important for us to have that representation. Here's my sister, co-managing director, Umbume. She's also been with us. She joined the year I came back, 2013. So she joined me to run Nedbank, actually. She also has done many things, and she's got an interesting background because she actually, when she graduated, she started in publishing. And then she went into design and packaging. See, these are all different disciplines, and that's one thing that often, especially our mothers, when we tell them we want to do this kind of thing, don't understand, is that there is a wealth of opportunity and disciplines for us in the creative industry, and that start to make us more well-rounded as well as marketers, and because we are marketers, we're not just creators and advertising agency people. So she did that. She was actually a board member of the very famous Yellowwood, and before joining us, sort of, what do I say, traditional communication space. And she is actually an IAB board member as well, and she too does many things within our, in our industry. She actually used to do what I'm doing right now. So. Yeah, I think what I want at this point in the pitch also say to people is, so the other thing that differentiates us from a lot of agencies is we've been together for long. And so we're not just people that just join J and like, so by now we are very together. We understand each other very well. We know how to complement each other. We are very different, all of us. I mean, Mpumi and I, we are like best friends. But me, I normally like a weave, girlfriend likes a dreadlocks. We are so different, but we all complement each other. And in 2020, we signed a deal, and that is when the three of us, myself, Mpumi, and Oli, became larger shareholders of Joe Public, together with a private equity firm that has now put us as the largest Black-owned agency, independent agency in South Africa. So we are extremely proud of this. I emphasize the independence because we are not an Ogilvy, the FCBs. By the way, these are all agencies that are owned by global companies. With us, buck stops right here. We decide what we're going to do, what we're not going to do. You know, we take our people, we know our people. You know, when I remember at FCB, you're just a number. And on top of it, at the bottom end of Africa. Like, we used to report into New York, you know. Whereas here, we have a vested, we work in this business, we therefore have a vested interest and understanding of our own business. And therefore, we really care about how our business works, it's our money. So we're extremely proud of this. So I think that's an opportune point to talk about our purpose. At Joe Public, we talk about our belief, and I'm not sure how much you're learning about this. If you don't learn about this through your academic courses, it's something that you need to invest in on your own, is understanding purpose. And by that I mean your own purpose, your understanding wherever you go and work, or partners that you start to engage with, understanding their purpose, because even if you're starting young in an industry, it's still important for you to know, am I going to throw, by understanding this company's purpose, well, make you understand if you really feel you're going to be able to fit in that, similar to the culture. And what you're really aiming to do is get and work with people or be in an environment where you have a shared purpose. Because we don't believe anyway that we do things just for money, right? Obviously, money is what we believe is, what we do is a byproduct. You're gonna get the money. And I know it's hard to believe, trust me, I've been there, but I've seen the fruits of it. So that's why I'm also emphasizing, do work on yourselves as well, and not just at the company. So, Tina, we believe our one word is about growth, but we believe that we want to be the fertile soil that serves. This is actually a new shift that we put in here. We believe that we are in a service. We are here to serve the growth of our people, our clients, and our country. And I'm going to show you how that works. So we put growth in the center. So this is what we say, the thing that gets us up, the thing that gets us going every day, our reason for being, is we don't wake up thinking about the money. We think about growth. We believe that growth feeds growth. So when you are in an ecosystem environment, you growing me growing you. That's the concept of our ecosystem. So we believe, and it's in this order, that if we grow our people, and there's many things that we do at Joe Public that in the spirit and serving people's growth, there's opportunities to do, courses and all sorts of training, exposure as well. Traveling is exposure, going down to Lourdes, going down to designing derbies. These are all the things that we do to invest, to make our people great. Because we expect them, we believe, if we do that right, and they grow, they will grow the products that we work on, the products that come through the door. And through that, there are people that are working on these products, we grow the people. I have very intimate relationships with my clients. They have grown working with us over time. When your brands are not doing well, as an example, you are growing because you're learning on how to course correct it. When your brands are doing well, you're growing. And so we also therefore believe the brands will grow. And ultimately, we really want to impact our country. By the way, that's why we do things like this as well. It's not just, I know I mentioned the profile, absolutely, that's something, but ultimately we want to impact our country. Again, because we're independent, we're not going to thrive, we need to be in a country that is thriving, we need to contribute to our own country. And that's the difference between, again, a global company doesn't care about South Africa. They just want to know what money they're going to be able to take offshore. Tina, our money stays here. By the way, employment as well. When we grow, we employ. And when we employ, people thrive. So there are many facets of this growth. And essentially, we do it through creative excellence. Everything that we do is got our creative in mind. As I say, they don't come here for my amazing handlers, they actually come here for the product. So, since you can't walk around and feel here, I'm going to show you a video that starts to articulate some of the stuff that I just shared now. here, because by the way, all our values are actually peppered in that reel that you just saw. And one of my favorites, by the way, because you need, so we talk about resilience, which is about giving everything except up. That's my favorite. Cool. So, and then something that I would obviously also have to show the clients is what we call a show reel. So we often don't have time to go through all these different things, but we like to give the clients a snapshot of the kind of work, and also, especially at our stage, you try and put things that people will recognize that they had seen already. Oh, I don't know, you did that. So yeah, I mean, I'm trying to play that to see what's coming. This happened at a pitch too, it doesn't even make me sweat anymore. Especially, sorry guys. Oh, you can't even see it. Oh, I'm gonna ask something to bring, I'm gonna play it for you, but let's move. Oh, hang on, let's see what's going here. Shall I pause there for a minute? Any comments, questions so far?
I just want to know if the people that create the videos content-wise and the people that do it practically are they in-house?
It's a combination. So like the big TV commercials that you see, we work with partner production houses, and that's a whole opportunity on its own to go into. The in-house, especially digital content, we've got our own studio. Oh, in fact, this time so we've got our own radio studio, we've got our own graphics and content studio. So yeah, it's a combination. It depends on the size of the job. We can do it in-house, which is mostly the digital stuff, but it's already been shot. Like that Flying Fish, as an example, there's lots more. We would shoot everything outside, and then we do the big ad outside, but bring all the footage, and we start making little GIFs and this and that in-house.
Answer. I wanted to ask about who's doing your art department and the editing of the videos.
Yeah, so, yeah, I don't even know if they're in it. You'll see them our in-house ones, but when it comes to our ads, and somebody will take you through this as part of the process, what happens, like, in that phase. Excuse me, how do we choose our directors? Who do we choose? All of that, yeah.
Yes, I wanted to ask about the TikTok videos and stuff. So those people, do they like give contracts to maybe do for Joe Public or an agency or just take?
The ones that work here.
No, I saw some videos of some TikTok granting people.
Oh, no. Well, that's stuff that we will approach them as an example. Like some of them are influencers. Depends on the campaign. Sometimes we brief them like, okay, we're doing this campaign. We need you guys, all 5 of you, go make some videos. So they will go on their own, yes. Should I think of something recently we're doing? Yeah, it does. They're all different. But there's that situation. Sometimes we give them content already and then they do it. And then sometimes people just pick our stuff up. So, Smooth, as an example, Chicken Lick and Smooth. Like, there was this dance thing that everybody was doing. And so that just trended naturally. And then we like use their content. So it differs. But you know, one thing is if you're going to use other people's content to promote yourself, you should give them something. Whether it's 5 cents, exposure, come to the events, but you should give them something. You can't just steal. Actually, it's ridiculous. That is what that is. Yeah? Does that answer that?
Can I ask, on the brand side of Joe Public, have you guys, has it been always, because I was checking the logo, has it been always like that logo, or have you guys rebrand Joe Public? And also, in terms of your brand, I can see that it's classics, black and white. So I want to find out if, has it been always that color? And have you guys rebranded?
The presentation of the I'm making notes.
They are pushing
Always
you.
engaged. You always ask me this. So the short answer is no, we're not always black and white. When the boys, when the guys started the agency, we were actually purple and white. We started as a concept called Takeaway. That's the thing that launched Joe Public in 1998. Back in those days, it was all about the big agencies, the big clients. But if you were a small brand, it was quite hard to go to an FCB and pay more costs and all of that. I mean, those kind of costs. So the guys started this concept of a restaurant. We were a takeaway, what they call Joe Public Takeaway. We in Cape Town, by the way. It literally looked like a cafe. So when you walked in, it was small, obviously. I mean, there was maybe 3 offices in the upstairs. You walk in, it was like walking into a cafe with a menu, and you could literally, the concept was everything restaurant. Gareth was the maitre d', Pepe was the head chef, I was a waitron. Our business cards were receipts. Like we would get we actually won our first gold Murray for this concept. That's the thing that really put us on the map, is our own identity. I wasn't there, by the way, then, but I was still around while the brand was that. And then, like you could choose as well, like you want a medium rare, well done, like and that was basically, it was a price, So we basically, that's why as well, the whole Joe thing was accessibility. Some of the clients that we had that we started with then are now big brands. Ocean Basket, they were one cafe, one restaurant, and we grew with them. Who's another one that stands out again? What's the name again? Anyway, what is that shop that does? Cash Crusaders. Cash Crusaders. There were a couple other. There was a trainer where they saw. It's not taking time, but anyway, those people who are we again. This is now an idea of not doing things just for money. Because who would have thought Ocean Basket is Ocean Basket now? But they were able to at least get amazing creators for an affordable price. So that was then. But then we evolved to orange. I actually still don't know why we went to orange and white. Then we went, I didn't do a presentation on this. But it was basically all around orange. We added more colors. We added more colors, yes, because when we started to grow, we started to have more business like units. Started to have a design unit, so we're like, how are we going to differentiate them from the above the line? Then we expanded our CI to include them. We added red, it was red, orange, yellow, Shift were yellow, we had below the line agency, they were red, and so on. Then we became really big in the last, I think it was about 6 years ago. We then, by then had, we were then a 360 full service agency. We did a complete rebrand. We became black and white as the big group, and also black is excellent, okay? Like that was another thing, like where we grew, the little Joe grew himself, you know? So now, by then we also, design changes as well. So through that, we got to the black and white that we are. And even in black and white, we've even been making tweaks along the way. So the big group is black and white now, and you'll see just now, I'll show you now how each one will have, each of our little different divisions have a spot of their own identity color, but it's within the black and white CI. Does that answer the question?
It is.
So like one is like an umbrella, and
Yes.
those main colors like for creative sections.
Yeah, let me show you. Let me show you our structure. So as I said, we are now we can provide a 360 solution. We do it all. But what I always tell clients at this point is, a lot of clients will go to different agencies for different things, which is an absolute nightmare for a client, by the way, because they end up having to manage a PR agency that's DNA there and this. By the way, our clients, some of them do everything with us and some of them don't. I mean, we try and encourage them to do as much as possible with us. Because why? We put all these companies, all these disciplines and expertise, we put the client at the center, okay? And then we put a strategy, one strategy. If you are a client with many different agencies, you end up having 6 strategies. Digital strategy, above the line strategy, the below the line strategy, design strategy. And often they're not all talking to each other. Then you, the client, have to do the work to make them talk to each other. It's a lot of work. The other thing that we do is, obviously it's more cost effective, right? Because if you have one team that is looking at your entire business, instead of, again, having pockets of different people, and often as well, remember now, if we all walk into a room, there's only one budget. Now we all start fighting, like never mind what the client needs to do. Like the client actually might only need, let's say, above the line. But you've got PR saying you need PR, and you've got digital saying no, you must do digital. In our case, we put the client at the center and we prioritize what's the best for the client. It's not about the money or saying, having selfish reasons to make sure they do PR or digital. We just do, because it's whatever, we dispense whatever is the best towards the client. And then you have one account management team, but it's cost effective because, again, you've got one group of people, not 5 groups of people. So so that's a biggie. Stay with us. This is now you start to see the colors and the different expertise unfold. Oh, sorry, I was seeing my presentation screen. So firstly, I should say, we've been public Johannesburg for a long time. Remember I said we were born in Cape Town, moved to Johannesburg in about 2005 or 6. We've tried to dabble in Cape Town before. It's never worked, but we haven't given up. We launched our latest Cape Town agency in 2020. April 2020, the beginning of COVID, the worst time to start a business, but we're still standing. And then we launched Durban late last year. So now we have 3 regional offices. And this is where you start to see the different expertise and the different sort of CI coming through. So we have Connect, Joe Public Connect, who what we call are deep digital. So things like, I'll show you now what they do. We've got Design, Shift, we've got Joe Public Engage, do PR, we've got Joe Public Maximize, who do media. Yeah, sorry. And then let me go through what they each do. So the three main offices, we still at our core, what we used to be above the line as what we call main agency. We're now a through the line integrated agency because now that's life. 6 years ago, digital was a speciality. It's not a speciality. If you can't do it, get out of the kitchen. Just leave like you can't play. So we now do everything from strategy and planning, all the looking at an integrated solution. So we even lead the integrated conversation, like strategically. Even if you're working with other agencies, we write the strategy, and that informs what PR are going to do, what digital, whoever they may be. And then we do all of it: television production, radio production, print, out of home, which is outdoor, right? Promotions, activations, point of sale. That's the stuff that you see in Pick and Pay, the branding that you see in Pick and Pay. We do direct, retail, and then digital everything as well, right? Through social media, the branded content. We also do the media and buying, and very importantly, all the data, insights, reporting, and analytics that's required through the line. Then we have Connect, and this is, and the reason why it's pink is because Mpumi used to run this business, so when it was created, she chose her own Pantone color, and she still has an allegiance to this pink, by the way. She actually has a pink door. This Pantone color at her house, her front door is this color. Anyway, so this is what we call deep digital. So it's not the social media stuff, it's like making apps, it's CX, UX, UI, and ZX, blah. And it's all the platform developments. This is where the dev guys sit. Then Shift is our design, brand and design agency, and if you are a business looking to reposition in terms of your purpose or strategy, these are the guys that do it. Then they help you, they can work through name generation, doing your brand identity, CI, creating brand architecture. So when you're in a complex business, you have different products, mother brands, this is what they do. Packaging, environmental design, which is amazing and huge now. Customer journey mapping, employee value proposition. So they do a lot of internal campaigns and internal strategies, which I know that's a business on its own, by the way. Like when you walk into like an SAP and Nedbank, Nedbank's got 28,000 last count, 28,000 employees. You need people like these people to help galvanize your people. As I said, we do public relations. This is probably our, no, it's not our youngest business. Who's our youngest? Yeah, this is probably now our youngest business. PR, but everything that goes there, from crisis comms, media relations, reputation, stakeholder, and all the influence and marketing related things. Our media agency, and they do it all of media, and you will definitely do a media chapter this year, so you'll understand the different facets. But really, it's about literally from what should join your channel strategy, which is joining radio, TV, digital, all of it, how, where, when. That's channel strategy, and then media strategy, planning the whole thing, buying, dealing with the media owners, even things like sponsorships. That's a thing on its own, and obviously media innovations, things like the AFPs, by the way, is things like when you see product branding in whatever TV programs that you watch, they negotiate all of that, and everything for digital, everything, search, everything that goes with digital, literally. Yeah, so that's kind of all of us, hey? I've mentioned it. Yeah, there's less circles because the circles explain the different disciplines, but as I showed you, half of it is actually done in the main agency now, through the line. Any questions there? Cool. Then in terms of briefly, snapshot of how we work, and this is what we're going to take you through in the course of this year, is that on the far left-hand side, it starts with a brief, the client brief. And I mean, things like, you know, what we like to do as an agency, typically, when the client says they've got something, we're all there, you know, so we can all hear and kickstart, what we call a kickstart together. We go through a strategy phase, and that is the first few, what we call the A to B, and we've simplified it because we joke people. It's like we talk about what's your A, so which is where you are, and what's your B, where you want to go to. That's our strategy framework. We look at the marketing, segmentation, we look at opportunities for growth, which is what we talk about growth insights. We then do our media strategy, and this is the flow, by the way, that you will start to see. And this is how we're going to talk to you. You're going to start to see people come and talk to you through the year in this order, except the client, sorry, that comes later, because you're going to know the theory before you get your brief. And then, all the media stuff that goes in, and only then do we actually start to go into the creative, where we come up with what we call a big idea, the thing that's going to grow. We call it a growth idea because we're all about growth. So other people call it a big idea, the growth idea, the thing that's going to help grow your business or the job, do the job. And then implementation phase, that's when we started to go, okay, what does it mean now for digital? What does it mean for above the line or whatever, all the channels? And only then do we go into production. And that in itself is a whole, can be anything up to 4 months or more even. And then the important thing that we are very serious about is what we call about the metrics and measurements. You know, we talk about other people always like hit and run, like we land or add, bye-bye, sharp, with us, we need to remain responsible. We need to we watch it go live, and we talk about optimization, which is tracking how it's doing. So, you know, if it's in for a week and we're not seeing traction, what can we do? We get in a room, we're like, hey, that didn't take off on pre-plan. Let's course correct. Or we're in trouble. I mean, we get into trouble as well. What can we do? And we track and we optimize and we report through the process. And then at the end of it all, we do what we call a post-campaign analysis, where we now say the whole thing. How did it go? What can we learn? What can we take forward into the next campaign? So that's just a snapshot. I'm sure you'll have more, because all you often see is the ad. You have to, probably fine, well, you have to get something there. Sorry, I didn't see it. So, this is like just a near snapshot, because you guys only probably end up seeing the ads. But now you can see, a lot goes into getting to the point of getting onto TV and outdoor. That's the stuff that ages us. And also, you will then start to see how many people, like, one thing I love about this business, and why I love being like a shoot, is you start to really get a visual representation that this is teamwork. Like, so many people play a role in getting to the end results. But also, therefore, you can start to see how many actual job opportunities there are. Because all these steps require different skill set, different people. This is the slide you show your mother when you say, I want to do advertising, and they're like, what the hell are you talking about? I was just a small snapshot about reporting. As I said, we've got a tool that we call Growth Tracker. This just shows, and it's very important for a client, especially for a retail client or like my Asupol clients who are selling what we call the performance base, right? When they put an ad out at 7 or 8 p.m. on whatever program, they expect results from that one ad. And we can immediately see it on our Growth Tracker. We can literally go, once we can start to see if it has performed by what, how many calls are coming into the call center. And then we can start to see how many conversion leads. And then we've got other things that we look at, like, well, how much did that ad cost us, right? So we don't look at just the production and the media, but like based on how many people responded, we can already start to see how much it cost us. that one spot. So it's very technical, but the point I really want to make is tracking is very important, and the whole optimization and monitoring, not just how it's doing, but how it's doing and how much it's costing you and what do I do now. And this is like live, it's a live dashboard. You can, whoever can have access on your phone, on your iPad, or whatever. Okay.
Oh yeah, I have a question, sorry. I just wanted to know, so this is a live track like you said, does it also have to do with the viewership? Do you guys also monitor that?
It actually does, right? Because I won't get into it now, but it's got to do with the cost per lead.
Yeah, sure.
So in the back end, it can tell you, because you already plan to buy it based on the viewership, right? So you already know that it costs you, let's say, 50,000 Rand, right? As you go along, depending on how many leads are coming through, you start it correlates with how much that costs you. Like it goes down, right? It starts to tell you how much that lead costs and therefore how much that spot costs. It's complicated, but it does actually correlate in the back end with viewership.
Also the rate cards
The rate cards as well.
as well.
Well, yeah, it's either your rate card or your buy, like how much you paid. Yeah. So absolutely. So at the beginning of a campaign, we then we'll actually insert all those figures at the beginning of the campaign, so that we begin to track it against the plan. And the plan includes your spend. How much is this about? How much is this campaign going to cost you that you're about to track? And then over time, you start to get to see how much it's costing you.
So does this board then, is it also accessible by the client, or you just share
By the client.
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
client also has access
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, I know. They're like, they've got a WhatsApp group. It's like,
So they will call you at 1 a.m.
What's
and they'll
happening?
tell what's
You see-
happening.
Oh, we only have a couple of clients that have actually invested in this, but like an Asopol, it's all about this. It's all about the money. They will buy only like 4 or 5 spots a day, right?
Yeah.
Because they're really expensive, because we
And
also
prime.
do long duration, so
Yeah.
like 2-minute durations. So yeah, it's, if you bought at 7:20, around 8:10 it starts.
It starts.
Okay, guys, no. Hey, that doesn't work, hey. We might have to think of, yeah, I mean, a little bit of it depends, especially when it's towards month end, it's beep, 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 yeah.
So what happens if they do see the ad but they don't take action, like calling into the call center?
Yes. Then we talk.
Yeah, and we need to talk and
We
fix
talk
it.
about why. So things that have happened, it's never happened. It's never happened, but we've got benchmarks already. So we already know the benchmarks that we expect. That's what that helps give us a lead on what we're planning for. We don't just go, hey, I hope this works. But sometimes the performance you don't get the performance you expect. So that could be either. I'll use Asopol because maybe you're exposed to it as an example. Because, so Asopol, we will say, okay, let's swap it out. Let's take another off, let's put unfortunately, yeah. Right, we've never got results. We're working on this. We still don't have results that we ever had with Brand. So that's the kind of thing, those are the kind of calls we'll make. Sometimes we'll make ads, not us actually, because before those ads were being made by another agency, and forget it, it's not sorry. But sometimes we'll say, well, they'll make ads and they only fly for a week because they just don't work. And we'll bring back that one that worked while we make another one, learn from that one. And sometimes it's also the media buy. Sometimes we're like, 720 doesn't work. 720 is not working. Let's go with 735. Also we also sometimes, 2020 was tough, because you didn't know what was going on in 2020 because you don't know, is it your work? Is it because people are losing their jobs? Because they're
Or
stressed?
the audiences are not
The audience, people are, but actually, so 2020 TV audience went shot through the roof. Because now people are home, digital figures shot through the roof. So now we actually work more busy because we now have to feed the people. And actually things are getting tired more. So before they talk about, looking at your exposure, things are expiring quicker because there's more people watching them because there's more 2020. It's just like crazy, you know what you're doing half the time. But these tools do help us absolutely in trying to make those decisions because you can see it's live, the data is there. It's not just
It's organic data. Yeah, it's not promoted.
yeah. And that's another thing that's huge in our industry. A few years ago, data wasn't a thing. Data wasn't what it is now. Data has become, so even us now, we're busy building a data, well, not building, we are bringing more and more data expertise. And who would have thought data and creativity was like, well, then whatever. It's like, I don't want to care. Yeah. Now, we thrive on data as creative people because it gives you so much information. It helps give you direction and stuff like that. Especially in the digital space, right?
True.
Since you're from college and you're on the creative industry, like a lot of people were talking that some of us were discouraged that why going into advertising industry or rather creative industry because of everything is going to digital space, and people are getting retrenched. So seeing how we went back to new normal, like how is it for Joe Public or just you and guys? What is your thought about advertising space, advertising industry? Because more things have been done digitally. You don't really need a physical person to do a job. You can actually do it yourself online. So as we are here, give it space, yeah.
Okay, let me dispel a few of those thoughts. As I firstly mentioned, is that, okay, look, I know it's not like COVID was good, right? But COVID was, we learned a lot. And I always talk about COVID catapulted us to where we were going to be anyway. We probably going to be where we were in 2020, in probably let's say, in 8 years' time. It just fast-tracked everything. That's the first thing. So it was coming. And it's forced everybody to reinvent themselves if they have to. There's also been companies that didn't survive because not everybody's a big advertiser, which is kind of a good thing, right? So there are many products in life, right? People are doing creating their own things at home that need to be advertised. So as a simple little thing, my neighbor could be creating something and I could do her advertising. I'm making money, right? And then you get us, who are working with the Nedbanks, who are working with the SAB, all these big brands. And the only way, certainly for a very long time, particularly in South Africa, is, you have to still get out there and communicate. Then I want to also reframe, you're saying, advertising not working, it's now all about digital. Digital is advertising. Digital is a platform. Like TV, radio, outdoor are all platforms. Digital is a platform. It needs communication to go onto it. Who's going to do that? And in terms of, what you say, machinery, I think that's debatable. There is a place for, and it's a lot what we call very advanced, like performance digital, which is like a chapter on its own, where essentially it's what I was talking about, swapping up ads and whatever. You could potentially make, let's say, there's 30 days a month, you make 30 pieces of digital. And every day you're tweaking. You just keep on tweaking depending on the performance. That, they have got technology that's doing that. Somebody's got to feed the technology in the first thing. So basically I'm dispelling there is absolutely going to be lots of opportunities, but we have to reinvent ourselves. At Joe Public, a big thing about us is also entrepreneurial. You've got to have entrepreneurial spirit. It's not, you have to go for stuff. You also can't be like, oh, we only do that. No, sorry, I'm not going to do that. You've got to go, let me take this back to the office, let me chat to the team. So if you're going to stay stuck, the big word and one thing, especially Pepe and Gareth, what I admire them for is reinvention. The little journey I just told you about Joe Public is all about having to reinvent oneself for whatever reason. It's called the COVID reasons. So, take away, at some point, it had to be reinvented. At some point, traditional advertising was not going to sustain it. We had to reinvent ourselves. So if there's anything that, I mean, you talk, like something that you almost aspire to is the spirit of being able to reinvent yourself. Event organizers, they thought their jobs would finish forever. Guess what? Events went online.
Like the Sunny Hill concerts that kept on going. Adaptability, they know.
Adaptability and reinvention. My neighbor, he's a biokinetist. He basically has got a brand new business because his life business almost died. Then he's one of those like Jet Fitness and stuff. Started doing online gym and doing all these things, and now he's selling that to Abu Absa and Discovery, like ready-made workout videos. Anyway, I could go on. See, I've got an entrepreneurial spirit. That's why I thrive here. Joe Public is like, you come up with your own idea, give us the business case, you can make it happen. And if you don't have that in this world, you cannot, well, okay, sorry, you do what you want, but may you raise and be people that have got an entrepreneurial spirit, because you cannot be that, when our parents grew up and then, and in the past, was you would work for that factory, your aunts, your uncles, everybody would work for that factory, and you knew you were going to work for that factory too. There's none of that. You've got it's a whole different ballgame. Cool, I'm just conscious of time. Quick snapshot of our clients. We are very blessed. Long-term clients, we have clients for a very long time. We've got clients in different industries, from alcohol to, as I say, as for one of the, by the way, is one of my favorite clients. Everyone's just like, we like funeral plans. So it's exciting business. From petroleum to obviously the booze to Neke, Uber. We're a really blessed agency to have a variety of clients, to motor vehicles, and also the different things that we do for them. You must check out our latest drop is the South African tourism ad. In about time you can watch that. And then, by the way, we love that doing that job, because that talks to our purpose. You'll start to see our work. We try and attract brands that are doing purposeful, that have a purpose in our country and our world that we live in, and do purposeful work. Quick snapshot. We've gone through this. I think the only thing I can mention here is that we are level 1. The client wants to know that. In terms of creative recognition, listen, we have come into our own in this past 5 years, but we ranked number 1 at Lurries as an agency. We ranked number 1 as regional agency 2 years in a row. Yeah, it's very nerve-wracking. Actually, we're going for number 5 this year. I just want to go to bed and climb out of my bed at the thought of it. Pandora rings. And by the way, guys, it's important for you guys to know all of these what's Lurries about. I'm not going to tell you. You need to know what these things are about. Pandora rings. DNAT is international. New Generation Awards is all about digital. Walk is the global ranking. We're number 49 at the moment. Asagars is also more about direct marketing, mostly, one-on-one type of communication. And we pretty much, except for Walk in the world, in the world, we're chasing it, we're going to be the top 10 soon. Watch this space. Business recognition as well is very important too, not just about creative. Remember, we're about growth, and business recognition proves our creative things that we do, right? So, ad focus, we're agents of the year. Apex is the one. It's now called Effie's, by the way. Sorry, I must update this slide. We're now called Effie, so we're now part of the global, and not Joe Public. The actual awards are now part of what they call Effie's, the global one, and that is the one that measures creative effectivity. You enter to demonstrate that how this campaign works successfully. So we haven't been number 1 there yet. It's fine, we're getting there, but we've always been ranked in the top 3. And then a really special one is also around being the most admired ad agency as voted by Mark Lillis, which is our peers. So other people in the industry are voting us as what they think as the most admired. Scoping is something that happens every 2 years. It's a survey that is run with marketers only. And they have said that we are the most attractive agency, and that's just one of the accolades that we've received. I'm going to pause before we go into work. Yeah, I just picked a few things. You've already seen it all. Should we turn on?
Có xin mà sao thằng mẹ người ta gì?
No.
Both of you.
Tell her we'll be back now.
Shut up!
Alex on the road, my friend. Relax, Michael, I have asked. Let's do this, cheese boy. Better luck next time. Sure, gents.
Kit, is that you?
Michael?
Oh, buddy, I've been looking for you everywhere. Where have you been?
Kid, I'm your friend. Peter, who are you?
I'm Michael Mike. Who are you?
Michael Young. Kid, and then
Ish. Sorry, Michael. Wrong number.
Kit?
life is about reality.
So I actually was hoping I'm showing you actually case studies, because some things you would have seen. So obviously when we enter, when we enter and submit our work to be into awards, we don't just submit the ad, say, see attached. We have submission forms, we have to pay, and then we actually have to put case studies together. So I want you to, I think, okay, this is not a case study.
Take the floor, what's the emergency?
Hello, officer. My name is Michael Knight. I think Kit is being held against his will.
Is it your child, sir?
No, my car. I was just talking to him.
Hold on, sir. I think it was not a child. Say, you say you want the phone with a child or a cat?
With my car. Kit. He talks. Now, are you going to help me find him or what?
Say, please, we are working here, okay?
You're working here? Okay.
Cool. I've got another few things here, but I'm sure you saw them, guys. So I want to show you a case study, because I think that's very important for you to understand, because this kind of encapsulates not only what you seek to do, but what you had to do, beyond just produce the ad. I'm now hoping that this is a case study. Okay, just
I am simple.
Only human after all. Only human after all.
You have to roll.
I'm only human after all. I'm only human after all. They call me.
questions or comments as I going to find case studies.
The question is, so in class we were looking at adverts, and in us looking at them, we were criticizing them, whether positively or negatively. So we looked at the chicken licking one, and then the comments from us, the students, was how are some of the ads related to what the product is? Like this, okay, with the Smooth one is understandable because Smooth wants to always be a chicken licking, eating chicken licking, so he made a robot that will be him and do what he does. But with the Michael Knight one, how is the car kit related to the chicken licking or the product that chicken licking is selling? So what was the campaign about?
Well, firstly, okay, let me first say this. You've got to take a step back and say, where is your brand in its lifespan, right? So Chicken Licken, firstly, is a cult brand. You don't even half the time care, you guys, like what are they saying? Most people follow Chicken Licken like it's a cult. You can, you can do no wrong. And first, you will watch it. If you hear there's a Chicken Licken ad out, you will find it, right? So that's where Chicken Licken has got to. It's not for it. It's not a space that many ads or many display brands get to. Ones that come up for me, Nike. I mean, it's like it's a cult brand where you can never do any wrong in my eyes. Apple, you can like even there's no negative anything you're gonna tell me about Apple, right? Like, so that's one perspective of it. And it's really not one to really be looking at in terms of your guys' spaces, because as I say, not many brands get to that point. Not many brands can, as you say, like not do all the, make sure the brand's up front, typical clients, and I want to see the brand in the first 3 seconds. They want to see the brand. Then you must do the demo, like this is how it works. Chicken Licken, I don't think anyone even knows how it's made. Like, nobody cares. It's like, we know what it tastes like, and I love them. It's built of loyalty to keep you coming back. They buy a lot of media that is always top of mind. Like, I mean, if you think about a takeaway, if you really like Chicken Licken, you don't often err from something. And so I think the most important thing is to keep us top of mind for when you want your takeaway. And when you get into store, it's rather drive people in store. That's our job. And in terms of what does Chicken Licken mean, I mean, each of them, they've got different ones about craving. I mean, we know. And I mean, if you eat Chicken Licken, you know exactly what that means. There are certain behaviors or situations you find yourself in your life when you wake up in the morning and you know there's nothing else that is going to actually cure the situation you're in. You're not going to the hospital, you're not there. It's stuff, you know. So we drive people in store. That's our biggest thing. Drive people in store, keep it top of mind.
Is that
it's not confusing? Kind of right.
So sometimes
it's not aligning to the brand. We already know that it's chicken.
That's another thing. That's another thing. We've got so many fans. You just keep coming back for more. It's not it's not like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna do that again. Like, and it's like Chicken Licken's a fantasy, hey? Like we make movies. And there are not many brands that make movies every 3 months and you like, when's the next one coming? Sometimes it's a hit, sometimes it's a miss. I'm sure you think about the Alien one. Okay, that was a turn on this. There was another epic one.
Tawana is epic.
Oh, that's super cool.
So, are you guys happy with Joe? Is Joe Public happy with the direction that advertising is taking into South Africa?
No.
None. Recently?
Most of it is shit. Most of it is the client telling you, I want my brand in the first 3 seconds, don't forget to say that, tell them 10 things, and there's no concept.
It's like a podcast, not really.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's like reading a catalog. I mean, it's like, you know, they're not building brand love. It's becoming, you know, as like a client, Bill, I mentioned the other day, says, everyone saw you on your ad. I was like, who? You mean at the back? Oh, I said, marking your own homework, because nobody, you chicken link and you drop an ad, you start to see the results on Twitter immediately, you start to see it in your store immediately. Flying fish, Castle stuff, people start talking. Nobody's talking about your ad, chances are they don't like it. And literally, I mean, I don't watch a lot of TV. I'm exposed to TV through sport mostly because of the people I live with. But I don't remember anything. Tell me an ad you remember. Offhand.
That Nedbank one.
Okay, that's ours. Tell me another one.
Oh, one that is in yours.
Yeah, or just name. Okay, I'm just saying. Okay, yeah, that's cool. You know, because we made that. Yeah. Okay. What's the? I know. I'm gonna love it. Let me do it this way. I know who spends money. I know who spends money on TV, right? Yeah. And on digital. So tell me the best clicks ad you've seen lately. Gotcha. Nice. Tell me the latest Handy Andy ad that you saw lately. Any Unilever, pick anyone. I mean, you're a journalist. Pick anyone. Which one do you remember?
I don't think they even have ads.
They do. They're like the top 5 spenders. Tell me the latest.
I don't think we watch TV.
Okay, digital. They spend a lot on digital. Okay, Mac, yeah. Okay, did you enjoy it? Can you tell me what the ad is about?
I'm not sure what it's about. It's just.
I'm just trying to make the point, right?
The main yacht edge, the jelly babies, the one that splashes off.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that was
But I think there is, so I would guesstimate and say 90% of our ads, when you see them online or on TV, billboards, are not great. And that's a problem. And I don't think it's because of our industry. I genuinely think it's because of our clients and the pressures that they're under, and they want to be in control. Some of them are frustrated creatives, like, you know. There's a number of reasons, but the industry is not in a great place overall. And I mean, I feel wonderful. I was on leave a couple of weeks ago, and there I watched a bit of TV, and I had family from overseas visiting, and took them around. I started like, everywhere I was going, I was like, oh, that's ours. I mean, I don't remember seeing that. Being able to be there in a long time. But the rest of the stuff, it's not just because we didn't do it. It's just not standing out. It's not cutting through the clutter. You guys are the worst to try and get you to remember anything, right? And I'm not to say, in terms of the amount of information, you're always on 2 screens, and some, always busy, and the amount of information you guys are consuming a day is like insane. And you've got I'm not talking about advertising, I'm saying in content, whether it be movies and memes, and you've got to cut through all of that. It's a challenge as well. That's why we try, you'll see in our work, we tap into the zeitgeist, we try to be relevant. We don't just, make beautiful work just because we think it's beautiful. Every now and again we do, but that's not the aim, because it's not gonna jump out in memory. What's the point of doing it if you don't remember? It's not like I asked you about clicks, because they spend a lot of money. Clearly they're wasting it. Outsurance. This is clientele, Clientele is the number 1 financial services spender in the country.
And the rest.
So why don't we just to make the point of what I was saying around case studies, I want to show you now, because You guys know the school ad.
Okay, Google, what is artificial intelligence?
Artificial intelligence is intelligence demonstrated by machines, in contrast to the natural intelligence displayed by humans and other animals.
The wonder and fear at the root of how we look at AI was the perfect zeitgeist for Chicken Licken's latest legendary Hot Wings campaign. Introducing Spoo 2.0, a quirky yet cerebral comedy about a science teacher who invents a robotic version of himself to fill in for him whenever the craving strikes. Because as we know, when the cravings got you, it's got you. After launching simultaneously on television and online, the commercial quickly reached cult status. We then spoofed popular culture with a Johnny Ive-inspired video about the how and the why of Spoo 2.0.
I had to come up with something new. Spoo 2.0.
A new kind of craving emerged, and our fans wanted more. So we gave them unseen footage, memes, and an augmented reality filter that allowed our fans to 2.0 themselves. We then asked them to show us their best Spoo 2.0 dance moves, and they obliged, not only with dance moves, but also with their own Spoo 2.0 impressions, their own memes, a number plate, and some impressive fan art. Spoo 2.0 outperformed anything we could ever have imagined. Proving once again that when the cravings got you, it's got you.
Well, because we've got a bit of time, I'll show you a couple more. I'm not going to show you the ad, I'm going to show you how we have to do case studies. Because now remember, you know, especially with us, we're sending work to internationals who don't even understand our nuances. You have to make sure that they've got context. So building a case study is an art on its own. Let's see. And this is an old one, it's actually not very good.
This is the story of how one man sold millions in baby products on a very small budget. Over the past 4 years, Jet has lost market share. The problem? The market is extremely cluttered. The solution? A campaign so disruptive mums would be able to resist it. Introducing Manny, our hunk.
Hey babe.
Who told mums about the great deals at Jet.
So here's 35 seconds. Just for you. These Carl Fleece sleep suits at $59.99.
You love me like crazy.
Just dream. Hey, there's nothing wrong with a little drooling.
You take my hand.
A TV and an online video drove women wild.
The queen. Oh, when I ask what I did to deserve you, your answer is always.
Manny also gave mums helpful tips with our mini-series, Manny's Mom Tip of the Day. In addition, the fully integrated campaign comprised of a 12-page printed catalogue, a printed calendar, social media memes, a behind-the-scenes video, an in-store point of sale. It even inspired our staff to show their own hunkiness. Manny sent moms into a frenzy, and we saw sales spike overnight, generating 64 million in sales, a total profit of 18 million, and a 19% growth improvement from last year, making it Jet's most successful campaign to date.
Okay, now back to reality.
It just goes to show that Jet really does get moms.
Next part was when the doctor boys came inside the agency for pitching. We were all like hanging over the bar, like, oh my God, he's here! Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think importantly, as I said, I'm also trying to expose you to not just the work, but how, I mean, it's fun, but this is how it all comes together and how you deliver to the clients. Here's another one, I suppose, an oldie. I don't know, did you guys see this one?
Yeah, I'm sure they were in class. It was the first years.
The one that got us in trouble. I say we get in trouble every now and again.
Is it something that you can deliver it?
No.
Doesn't it cause like also numbers to skyrocket when obviously the ad is?
No, I mean, again, no, I mean, Jesus, 2017, we did this campaign with Nedbank where we put these fake notes.
Yeah, see money differently.
Yeah, do you remember that?
Yeah.
So that, again, I mean, I was very worried, but, you know, the creators on a roll, it's like, it's part of my job is to manage things, right? So, but that got us into a heap of trouble. So we definitely did not aim to get into trouble, and that cost us as a business a lot of money. Because what they said, the Reserve Bank, we need to take those down immediately.
Those notes.
Those notes. So we've gone through the different legal, it's a lot of, but so the answer is no, it's not fun getting into trouble. The creators move on with their lives, but it's not fun for us. No. And you try, there are many checks and balances that you try and do to avoid it. But this one is not, this is not the Nedbank case. This is one opinion that was listened to. And that's the story of its own.
I have a question. In terms of brand reputation, for instance, Vault, if they, like, clients or people that choose Vault have that experience,
yeah,
and you guys, and Vault is your client, you guys get affected?
Not really, as the agency, no. We could be affected by producing it, absolutely. But when they get into Nedbank, it's, you know, all our clients are in the news for different things all the time. But it's when we are part of it, like that one, I mean, it's awkward, like, you know, because now everyone knows who the agency was, and then, how responsible are you? Like when I'm saying, like, yeah, we listen, and like, I heard you about that, you know. So, but yeah, I wouldn't say we get affected. And I mean, at the end of the day, though, it's all about how you manage your crisis. That's even if we were affected, it would be with our clients and for ourselves. How do you manage it? That's management. That's their expertise. It's crisis management.
So if I may ask that Nedbank outdoor promotion, the OOH, right?
Yeah.
We also guys part of it, the one that was on the highway that caused a lot of distractions. Remember that one? I think it was on William Nicole.
Oh yeah.
Remember that one?
No, we actually didn't think that was our big idea. It was the PR agency. But that wasn't too bad.
It wasn't too bad, but it was just too much because there was a stop and go.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it upset some people, but yeah. Sometimes we have to pull these stunts, right? But it didn't. I don't think they got a lot of brand damage. In fact, they got. Yeah, I wasn't close to that one. It was Riverbed is the PR agency. But I mean, yeah. I'm trying to think of one. There's a few that we're busy cooking right now that I'm just like, the lawyers need to see that before it goes out. Yeah.
Nando's looks like that's under Joe Public. That's the they do.
Who?
Nando's. Who's doing their ads?
Nando's at the moment is with an agency called, I think, MNC Saatchi, but they've often gone around with different agencies, but I think it's MNC Saatchi now. Let's see. I wanted to say I've got lots of work here, but I really wanted to show more case study of this. How are we doing for time? Yeah, it's such a good time. Oh, have you seen the one that I'm in? Because sometimes you have to, like climb, you know, you have to look for somebody like that person.
It actually feels good to be in your own head.
Like when you see yourself, it was so much pressure because I'm not, but it was, we were under pressure.
That's you, right?
No.
That's so you.
What? were in a situation where they couldn't find the person and run deadline, and the client said in the beginning, I think Kuthala should do this. And I'm like, dude, I'm not even, what the hell? I've got a different job. And yeah, you do what they, do whatever you're going to do.
I guess you think it's all about both sides.
Yeah. Oh, it's nice. Cool.
Are we a nation of irresponsible and heavy drinkers?
Drinking too much alcohol can have a long-term effect.
I know with binge drinking, you're not really having a good time if you're not actually seriously drunk.
Don't make sense. Like turning this flying fish ad into a food ad to promote eating when you drink.
Into the bloodstream. This allows you to stay sober for longer, and therefore you can enjoy yourself to the fullest. It's not rocket science.
Who have not eaten before drinking.
So with flying fish, when did you guys get flying fish? Wasn't it under DNA?
Number one. Number two, we had it for about five years or so. So remember, DNA is a PR agency and a reputation, PR, everything that goes in PR. So they often partner with us or somebody else, right? They don't make ads, really. They do content sometimes, but it comes through the process. But I wouldn't say they're not an above the line or traditional agency in making. They come from a PR perspective.
So they do strategic communications, basically.
Yeah, but more PR space and reputation space. That's their core.
And by the way, those are in black and white choices.
Actually, it's all right. Black excellence. It's not one. Super proud of this one.
To South Africa now, where racial tensions have been running high in recent months. Riots and lootings against foreign nationals have been ramping up across the country.
An estimated 2.9 million African migrants live in South Africa, seeking work and better opportunities. But unfortunately, it's one of the most hostile destinations in the world for them. They are blamed by locals for taking away jobs, resulting in murders, displacement, and over 40,000 foreign-owned shops being abandoned in the past 10 years. Foreigners live in constant fear of xenophobic harassment and attacks. As a brand known and loved throughout Africa, Converse wanted to add its voice to the call to stop xenophobia. Introducing Converse Unity Laces. We identified the African countries that had the most expats living in South Africa and used each of their flags to inspire lace designs, with one half of the lace representing an African country and the other half representing South Africa. When laced, the two countries become intertwined, symbolizing African unity. To bring the idea to life, we designed separate posters that were laced together by specially created unity laces, showcasing different African nations uniting. Unity laces were launched in Converse stores on Africa Day, where customers received a free limited edition pair of laces with every purchase. Not only did Unity laces help to increase sales by 80%, they sparked a conversation around prejudice against foreigners and inspired Africans to celebrate their differences, embrace African unity, and stand united against xenophobia.
So that won a Grand Prix last year, and we're going to Cannes. So I'm hoping that we perform at Cannes, because that's the stuff, you know, purposeful, bit of innovation, kind of stuff that wins internationally. I think we're out of time. We are out of time.
So nice.